G'day mates, you may or may not have heard Epic just dropped a hotfix update potentially nerfing the SMGs and ARs and buffing the shotguns, something that a lot of people in the competitive community have been begging for, and it's looking really promising. I'm going to cover all the details on that, as well as how the best teams performed today in the Duo Cash Cup finals, who was doing well, who was struggling, and just show you some of the funnier and more insane clips from the tournament. So let's just jump into it. Let's kick off talking about these new weapon changes that has everyone freaking out. Fortnite status tweeted out, we'll be making changes to the Stinger SMG, MK7 assault rifle, and auto shotgun in a hotfix released tomorrow, January 13th. We'll follow up on this post with the adjustments made when they are live in-game. So we have to imagine, okay, this doesn't say nerfs or buffs, right? It doesn't say what they're actually doing for the update, but it's pretty safe to assume it is going to be a Stinger SMG nerf. I'm thinking maybe fire rate and damage. An MK7 assault rifle nerf, I'm thinking again maybe fire rate and damage, or maybe one or the other. I do think the Stinger SMG is a bigger issue than the MK7 assault rifle. MK7 is still incredibly strong, and especially in the hands of the pro players and the top tier players, because they're really good at controlling recoil. But I think Stinger SMG is the main focus here for the nerfs, and an auto shotgun buff. The auto shotgun at the moment just doesn't hit hard enough. I would actually love to see the auto shotgun get more of a quality of life buff, and what I mean by that is the gun just feels really awkward. I don't know if it's just me, but I have the worst aim in the world, specifically with the auto shotgun, because I feel like when I click, it doesn't shoot. So I would love to see that adjusted, as well as maybe a bit of a damage buff. It can hit pretty hard, like over 100 if you're close to the head, which, you know, with this fire rate is quite a strong weapon. And if the SMGs were nerfed, jumping in the box or playing really close with it would actually be quite strong. But at the moment, the auto shotgun just fits no purpose. The Stinger shotgun, sorry, the Striker shotgun, it's not the strongest right now compared to the SMG, but if you're smart, you play a box back, you piece control, you get a right hand peek, it still does pretty well. But the auto shotgun, you have to be like face to face to do any real amount of damage with it, and in that situation, the Stinger SMG just beats it anyway, so you're better off just using the SMG. So it could be cool to see the auto shotgun become more viable, but I really wanted to just feel better rather than just hitting harder. Now, obviously, I could be completely wrong. They could be buffing the Stinger SMG for all I know, but it sounds like from some of the responses we got, especially from people in the Fortnite scene like Lumen, which is the head of competitive gaming at Fortnite, he said that, you know, we wanted you, we were hearing you, keep us accountable for the rest of the season, things are going to get better type situation, right? Which I love to see. I absolutely love seeing that from Lumen. It's really cool to see that they are listening, but it looks like these changes are being pushed from the competitive scene. We also had Hogman. You know, I talked recently about how ex-pro Hogman had joined the Epic Games development team, specifically on their competitive team. He retweeted this and had a winky face, which I don't know how much Hogman had, you know, how much influence he had on making this decision, but it seems like he's implying that there was a little bit something to do with it, you know what I mean? Or maybe he was just getting excited about it coming out. I said that I feel so bad for his DMs now, because if people think that Hogman has the power to change the meta and just change weapons, everyone is going to be flooding his DMs with complaints constantly. But it does look like this change is being pushed by the competitive community, which I imagine is going to fall in line with what the competitive community has been asking for. Stinger SMG and MK7 nerf, auto shotgun buff. It's interesting to see they're also not changing the striker pump, which I've been talking about as, I think, a good thing. I really think the striker pump shotgun is pretty balanced right now. It does not hit as hard as the spaz, but it hits hard enough, and if you're good enough and you play well enough, you can eliminate someone with it. The problem is, compared to the Stinger SMG, it just wasn't doing enough damage. But now with the Stinger SMG potentially being nerfed, we could see really skillful fights with the striker pump shotgun. You have to fully piece someone or get consistent shots, not just one big shot for like 190, which I'm really excited to see how that affects the fights. Obviously as well, this hotfix isn't out yet. I'm making this video tonight. I'm going to try and get this video up ASAP. When the actual update comes out, it looks like we might be even getting patch notes on this one, because it does say we'll follow up on this post with the adjustments made when they are live in game. I will be making another video tomorrow, or as soon as I can, talking about the actual changes. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm just not telling you what happened. As of me filming this video, we don't know what the actual changes are, and we don't know when this hotfix is going live. I'm going to guess it's going to go live around maybe 9 AM my time, which I 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. time, but I don't really actually know. I honestly do not know when this update is going to go live. Maybe when I post this video, the update will go live instantly, and then I'll come back and make another one. I just wanted to make sure I included this in a video because I knew all of you guys were going to be asking me about it. Now, I also did have an opinion on this one where I feel like now a lot of the casual audience, like you guys watching my videos who've been enjoying how strong the Stinger SMG and the MK7 assault rifle are, will probably be a little bit upset by this. I do think this was a really good chance for Epic to finally, you know, split competitive versus public and casual players and try to maybe have the Stinger SMG assault rifle meta still decently strong in pubs, but then nerf it in competitive without nerfing it in both. Because now the competitive community is super happy, and I think a lot of people in the casual scene who've been coming back to the game to play around with these weapons are going to be a bit over it. I do think if you are upset by hearing these changes and they are potentially a nerf to the AR and the SMG, instead of trying to get super upset they've changed the meta, maybe try to look at it from a self-improvement perspective. Realize that the meta we're going into, yes, while being a bit sweatier, might be fun if you start developing those mechanics, start getting into the game, maybe working on your piece control, your editing, your building, because ultimately that's what's going to make you fall in love with this game for a longer time. Yes, messing around with your friends is super fun. I love Fortnite for that as well. But like any game with a competitive aspect, people are going to want to get better at it. And if they want to get better at it, that's what keeps them invested for a long period of time. Seeing this, I'm so excited. I'm going to be doing a Twitch stream on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. It's going to be me and Danath, one of OCE's best pros, just playing Duo Arena, trying to get better, trying to run through people, and now I'm actually motivated to practice the game again. I'm going to start working on those skills that, like piece control and proper building, that I honestly haven't really worked on at all in Chapter 3. I've just been into everyone's boxes. So I know it might be upsetting, but try to get on board with it if you can. But hey, I still think this would have been a great chance to kind of make casual players and competitive both happy. Moving on to tournaments, we had our first Duo Cash Cup finals for all the regions. We got to see how the best players stack up in an actual in-game tournament. On NA East, we had Tahi and Edgy walk away in first on 215 points, playing all 6 matches, getting an average elims of 5.17 and an average placement of 8.17. Considering their first game was a 13th and an 18th place in their second game, they really brought it back at the very end, played phenomenally. They're dropping the north side of Sleepy Sounds, and honestly, they did just play incredibly good Fortnite. Eliminations are also worth 3 points now, and a win is worth 30, so the format was a bit more W key heavy than what I thought, but the games were still incredibly stacked, and I want to talk about that after I recap the regions. We had Skittles and Booger, no surprise to many here, coming in second place on 198 points out of Chonkers. They were playing some of the most unorthodox Fortnite I've seen in a minute. The way they play their early game, sitting in Storm, going for surge tags on people who are far behind, getting cars and rotating in late, using Chug Splash to stay in Storm. They Storm Tank to get Spider-Man mythics, using campfires to heal up their cars. Like, they were doing some really interesting stuff, and honestly, it worked. They played phenomenally well. Their best placement was a 5 elim first, and most of what was carrying their points was really consistent eliminations. Their placement wasn't quite as good as Tahi and Edgy, getting a 9.83, but still really good. We had Joji and Rokane coming in third place, which I think surprised a lot of people, myself included. Joji and Rokane, both phenomenal players, but I just didn't pick them as a top 3 initially. It did come off the back of some insane solo clutches by Rokane. Joji did go down early in a couple of games before rotating zones, where Joji went on to survive like in the entire rotating zones, get kills. Like Rokane was playing like an absolute beast. We had Creo and Vert come back with a 11 elim third and a 3 elim first in their last 2 games to jump them up into 4th place. Acorn and Miro coming 5th, but I have to put an asterisk on this. Acorn and Miro did not connect into their first game, so they came 5th place with only 5 matches played. If you take their average points per game, they would have actually got 36.8 more points, and they could have outplaced Tahi and Edgy. Not saying they would have, but they were playing a game down, so still to get top 5 is insane. For the first time we've seen this duo play set lobbies, and they're not even going their proper drop spot yet. They are dropping the middle of the map where Tilted will be, but Tilted's not even there yet, and they're still already popping off. I actually think they'll have a harder time once Tilted appears, because yes, there'll be more loot, there'll be more materials, but they'll also probably get contested. Right now, they're getting a lot of chests. They're getting the slurp truck for free without anyone really near them. If they start getting contested, it could shake things up. But at the end of the day, it's Acorn and Miro. They're an incredibly scary fighting team. We had Ages and Rise in 6th. We had Peterbot and Kanata in 7th. We had Rhythm and Milks in 8th, which is an underrated team I haven't been following too much. Illest and Jack in 9th, which was interesting because if you go down to 11th, Knight and Rogue Shark, they were dropping out Logjam against each other. So seeing 2 teams teams that potentially at one point were actually top 5 was very, very interesting to see. Don't want to skip Smite and Twix. I'm not going to read the entire leaderboard. Going down to Day and Clicks in 17th though. Now, a lot of people are going to, you know, start pointing fingers. Day and Clicks are washed. They're not that good. They're not playing that great. They actually played really, really well today. In their first few games, they found themselves in the top 3. It was only in their last few games they started to drop off the pace a little bit. But as far as spawn fighting goes, they were going up against Voil and Accept at the Joneses. And originally, I think in the first 4 games, I think Day and Clicks won 3 of them and disengaged the other one. So they actually didn't lose a spawn fight in the first 4 games, which up against Voil and Accept was incredibly impressive. It's only when Voil and Accept started running with some of the loot and then third-partying them with other teams around them and playing the fights a bit smarter, the Day and Click started to lose their grip on the top 3. So unfortunate to see, but still played really well. I'm not going to go through the entire leaderboard, but the games were really, really good, and I massively enjoyed watching them. Again, if you want to watch these tournaments, I'll be doing viewing parties of all of them on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. Moving over on to EU, another phenomenal tournament that came down to a single point. That is 1/3 of an elimination. We had Julian Com and Till V1 coming in first place on 187. I'm going to be the first to admit I don't really know too much about this team. Don't know too much about these players. Till V1 has been in my stream a whole bunch, so I feel bad that I've just egoed him, but I'm excited to pay more attention. They played phenomenal Fortnite. It was actually their last 2 games where they dropped off the pace just a little bit with a 4 elim 11th and a 1 elim 17th, but they had a huge string of games, getting a 6th, 6th, and 3rd 3 games in a row with a lot of elims on top of that. Vortex and Janice almost just beat them out at the very end. They got a 3 elim 4th in their last game, which is almost enough to catch them up. Like I said, 1 point the difference, but then we had quite a big drop down until Pink and Anas. We had almost a 50-point difference between 2nd and 3rd, with Pink and Anas coming in 3rd place. Pink and Anas in the first 3 games actually won 2 of them, so they were playing phenomenally. Then they started to fall off the pace a little bit. Again, I'm going to talk about some of the unfortunate ways they died, and ThomasHD and Tayson in a little bit when I talk about how the tournaments were playing out. We had Shady and Waze up there, SD and Podesai. We had Robab and Mappy. We had Roban and Mappy. We had Nebs and Hellfire. A lot of people focusing on Hellfire as, like, you know, one of the biggest up-and-coming players right now. They did play really, really well. Had a bit of an inconsistent games though, getting a 4th and 5th place to close the tournament out though. Vidil and Rezon, the first time we've seen this duo play together. They had an interesting one though. They were being contested at the condos, and they were pretty much taking them to storm fights to try to secure the drop spot. So I don't know if we can go too much off their placements here. I do really think they were playing just to win the spawn fight, then play the game out second. Like, the spawn fight was their priority. We had Kami and T come in 9th place. Again, I'm not going to go through the entire leaderboard. There was some other ones, like I said, like Savin and Mariah, a team that I'm very excited for, having a rough time at things out of Sanctuary, just getting third party a lot, getting rushed a lot, just having a really rough time on that east side of the map. We did have Tayson and ThomasHD not perform up to a lot of people's standards, but 2 of the ways they died, I'll show you both of them right now. We had ThomasHD tweet them both out. This is how they went down in 2 of their first 3 games.
Kids are sitting in. Look here, on me. In the fire.
Oh, Tayson though, starting to get focused, and no, Tayson getting sprayed out very heavy here, trying to get up to Thomas. Finds way up ThomasHD. They got splashes, they got minis. They should be okay here. Boaz goes down as well. Looking for something here if they can, and well, damn. Tayson and ThomasHD are loving this meta. I can already tell. Yeah, so stuff like that was happening to a lot of the big teams. Like I said, Pink and Anas falling prey to this a lot as well. When these teams made endgame, they got in a solid position. They couldn't just get psychoed in on. They played really, really well. So again, this is the only tournament looks like we're going to see before these weapons are updated, like I talked about earlier in the video. So I guess we'll have to see how the change in meta can help some of those other teams that we're expecting to perform better, if they actually do. Because I don't want to take away the achievement from other teams who've performed phenomenally, like Tahi Edgy, like Skittles Burger, who've been doing really well, like Janice Vortex, like Julian and Till, new up-and-coming teams. But a lot of people did see the tournament today as not really that indicative of how well they'll go in the rest of the season if the SMGs are nerfed. There was a lot of teams hard abusing the SMGs that in any other meta just wouldn't work that way. But there was also some teams who still found fantastic success despite this. So it was an interesting tournament. It was still really fun to watch. And despite the meta being so W key heavy, or everyone could just be brain dead with SMGs, eliminations were worth 3 points. The games were actually super stacked, and really fun to watch. All of the games on EU and NA East all went to Storm Surge right up until the last 6th game. They were incredibly stacked. So if this continues, we're going to have set lobby stacked tournaments twice a week, one for solos, one for duos, without even FNCS. So I'm absolutely loving the format this season. If we get a weapon balance that reflects that, we could have one of the best competitive metas on our hands ever. Like, this season could be top tier. Alright guys, that does it for another video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please chuck a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.